Apex's initial hype bubble has been slowly fading away, and a more normalized player base seems to be coming out. I reached max level a while ago, and the Battle Pass has not really intrigued me, as the skins from it, nothing really compelled me to try and go earn something on it. We're about 1 month out from Season 1 ending. They had done a post talking about some of the stuff that they're planning to introduce and how they want to do it with more meta-shifting things happening at the season changes. They hinted at tweaks coming to the map, as well as, of course, new characters, new weapons. But there were some things that were not on that list that I personally wanted to see, and I wanted to put it out to everybody, so I asked if you could add one thing, big or small, to Apex, what would it be? I got a ton of awesome responses, and it was difficult to narrow it down to this list, but these are 10 of my personal favorite things that I would love to see implemented into the game. And if you have a different number one or something you want to see isn't even on the list, let us know in the comments below. First, I want to talk about an honorable mention that I bring up very often, which is a reconnect feature. I know this doesn't happen for everybody, and it's probably more guided towards the PC, but disconnecting out of a game is so frustrating. If your character just stood idle while you could reconnect, rather than just killing you and forcing you to go into another game, would be amazing. Another honorable mention I had was for an improved training area where you can actually test different attachments on weapons. Have targets that are actually the size of the characters, like Wraith, or have a Pathfinder out there that you can try and figure out how to get the best headshot on, since he's so difficult to hit. But I think some of the stuff we talk about in this might even be better. Starting as number 10 is some new attachments. They haven't added any new attachments into the game, but they have added a new gun, which takes multiple attachments, in particular the hop-up for the Havoc. It could be the Select Fire or the Turbocharger. Without having to even introduce other guns, we could see those implemented more for the existing guns. For example, having the Select Fire for the Hemlock. But this was the idea that really got me thinking. I was talking about this the other day. I'm surprised there was no suppressors in this game. Almost all of the shooters that I play have some variation of a suppressor. Now, the Golden Barrel Stabilizer, according to the devs, does make it so there's a flash hider effect. However, if there was a modifier or even a specific barrel that only worked on the same guns that work on barrels now, that you could put a suppressor attachment on that took away the bullet trail, that made the gun quiet but maybe decrease the damage that it does per shot or slow the bullet velocity, could be a really awesome gameplay mechanic shift in this game, since there is so much blind aggression running at everything you see or everything that shoots at you. But what if it was quiet, or your whole team was engaging silenced? Maybe you don't get third-partied or a whole team pushing you as you're trying to snipe from range, and a third party pushes in because they can hear you from halfway across the map. Coming in for number 9 is cross-platform play. This has been one of the most requested items that I've seen, and ones that people have been very cautious, saying they do not want at all. But to those people, I'd say let's wait to see how they're going to implement it. When Apex launched, they did confirm that they're working on crossplay in an interview with Eurogamer, but we still have no idea how or when this will happen. I would be shocked if they decided to just let it all be crossplay where you're going to be mix and matched with everybody. More likely, at least the way that's been very well received with, for example, Fortnite's crossplay, is you'll only match with people playing crossplay if you're playing crossplay. Which is also good because it makes it so a PC player can't try and just weasel their way onto an Xbox-only server. More so, this is huge for people that have friends on PlayStation or Xbox or even PC that you can't play with because of that divide. I think this would be a huge benefit for the game, but it's lower on my list because I think there's a bigger priority in getting those servers so they actually don't go slow-mo servers when you drop in, or hit reg actually registers. We have heard there are improvements coming on those things, but stability is incredibly important. Coming in for number 8, this was such a great suggestion. I am shocked it's not already in the game yet. But challenges, weekly, daily, they did add it so you can play with different characters and earn bonus XP for the Battle Pass by doing so. And there are some challenges in terms of the badges that you can receive and then show off. But these are one-time things and you don't get anything else from it. Imagine having challenges where you can unlock crafting material, or weekly challenges that once complete give you an Apex pack. Ideally, if they did do something like this, though, please let it be something that's actually relevant. I think this is a bigger point too, just about the entire progression in the game. The fact that you get to max level and it stops. In Titanfall 2, they had a generation system where you can, similar to Call of Duty, prestige and start leveling over with a little mark next to your name. Identify that you've prestiged once or regenerated. Doing challenges for XP alone, I feel like is just, I don't even care. Coming in for number 7, I feel like would be an easy one that I would love so much. Allowing people to be accurate on the Zipline. The most accurate gun that I have found is the Scout Rifle. I talked about that in an early tips video. Every time I pick that gun up, when I am on a Zipline, I'm shooting it. Maybe it's not for all of the guns, like the Spitfire or some of the full auto ones. But what if you put the gun on single fire and just the first shot was accurate? And just especially the sniper rifles. You have to deal with the lead, the drop, the player moving, you moving on the zipline, and the zipline already just not being stable and moving your whole character and where you're aiming around. Is that enough for us to have a difficult shot to try and hit? But no, it's not for them. They have us also just be completely inaccurate. Your crosshair could be right on, and it goes a mile away with the Kraber. You have to get the RNG luck that the bullet will go exactly where you're aiming it, and aim it correctly, or aim it incorrectly and get lucky that it goes where you want to put it. Just allow it to be accurate. I feel like it's already difficult enough. You can't one-shot with the snipers anyways. Even with the Kraber if they have a level 3 helmet. What's the risk? And it would feel so much more satisfying when you actually hit the shot and know that it wasn't just due to RNG luck of the gun deciding to go where you put it, or not. Coming in for number 6 is a ranked playlist. I think a lot of people are going to want to see this even higher ranked in this list because of how many messages I saw about this. I'm not a super competitive player trying to win tournaments or anything in that spectrum, but a lot of the lobbies, because it just throws you in so randomly, you might only have one other decent team in there. Or you might have one team that's just on a completely another level than everybody else. And if you could match others with a similar ranked team, this could not only help incentivize the top tier players to find another tier of skill level, but also for the newer players not getting thrown in with somebody who already has hundreds of hours in the game. Understandably, other ranked games have a lot less players in one pool. This has 60 players, and trying to divide them up into different categories and then still have lobbies queue quickly, especially if not everybody's even going to play ranked, that could be a huge hurdle. Maybe there's some way to even incorporate crossplay, but then you also have the major issue in a game like this of people at different tier levels that are friends all wanting to play together in ranked. If you try and average that out, how do you make that fair? Because they have so many players, though, this is where I think they have a unique opportunity in trying to find a way to do that. Whether that's you can only queue pre-made with people at a similar level, but also I think this would need some type of way to counter the RNG that is in a Battle Royale. This is what takes a lot of the competition out of it for me, is that you drop in, you might just get terrible luck with what you loot. What if they standardize the way you do it? That's kind of up to them and how they want to figure it out, but I would love to see a successful Battle Royale pull off a ranked mode. Along the same lines as the last one for number 6, an in-game leaderboard, as well as stats, would be massive. Starting with stats, just having something that's not only specific to the characters and what you want to show available, which I like that, the individual system that's in it, but having something that's greater to see your overall stats, your win rate, percentage of KD, average life. I think all of these are fantastic ideas. And even more so if you break them down by all the different characters. Even if you can't display it, just having it for your own information and then climb to the top of a leaderboard from it. I'm guessing the reason they don't have something like a leaderboard is because of the amount of hackers in the game and because they just keep on making new free accounts. But even if it was something where you had to have an account for over a month, then you could potentially make your way onto the board. But having a more overall comprehensive way to look at all the stats besides having to go down every single list or try and use one of these third-party sites by displaying your number, and it's like, it would be amazing to have it right in the game and then to see your progress that you make each season to come. Especially for a class-based game, I think it's a lot of fun to look at that information, especially over seasons as well. I think Overwatch does a fantastic job with this. Could be a great example to look towards. Coming in for number 4 is a new map or a map update. We actually got some news along these lines with a recent post they did, with them teasing you didn't expect Kings Canyon to stay the same, did you? So most likely we will be seeing an update to this. Likely it won't happen until Season 2. They already had so many unique environments with both of the previous Titanfalls, the maps, as well as the campaign. There's so much that they could take advantage of, even if it was the exact same size map, player count, but just something fresh to play on. We saw a lot of issues arise with PUBG and them introducing new maps that were not well received, being very different from the original map. Not only with the actual map environment, I don't think people had a problem with, but the map size, scale, and amount of loot on it had completely different feels to them, and not everybody liking each of them, wanting to specifically select which map to play, and then not everybody's queuing on onto all the maps. So hopefully there's some lessons that they can learn from them with their implementation of new maps, or just deciding to change their current map and only having one active or whatever it might be. But to a lot of players, especially including myself, I've dropped everywhere so many times on that map that I know it all extremely well. It's not a relatively huge map. And introducing something there that's new, rather than, for example, a new character that only one person can play per squad per game, makes it new for everybody, every new game that they play. Coming in for number 3 is solos, which is something I wanted when the game first came out. Drifted away from it after playing a lot of games and realizing, oh, this is good. It brings everybody into the group queue. It was designed around having a 3-man team. Plus, if you do queue as a team, then you got a huge advantage over all these other guys random queuing with each other that are yelling and getting pissed. It's great. But that's also part of the problem. It makes it so difficult when you're in a 1v3 situation where you can't just one-shot headshot somebody. If you don't have enough ammo, you probably can't even kill all 3 of them, even if you have the drop on them and play everything correctly. Not to say that it's impossible, but it's very difficult because there is such a slow time to kill, a lot of health, small magazines, etc., etc. I found myself recently going back to some other battle royales and having such a fun time in solo. Even though it can be a camp fest, there can be a lot of problems there too, especially in this game since it will be class-based. We might have everybody playing the same class. Allowing you to practice in solo and figure out a technique and strategy is like having a completely different game versus playing with a squad. Yes, it will be a different mode that has a different meta than the 3-man squad game. The guns won't be perfectly balanced for it, but it's something I would definitely appreciate, and I'm sure a lot of other players that do want to just play solo for a game or two rather than trying to have to deal with a squad would appreciate. On a similar note, but I feel very different, would be limited time modes or some other variation in the way of playing this game. One of them that I loved was a top 3 situation. It could be a respawning deathmatch, or it could be just the end game of a battle royale. This is something that I've wanted in many battle royales for a long time, but give you an opportunity to practice a top 3 situation. Imagine only being able to queue in as a full team, already having everybody with the best gear, zone small, you're in the top 3. Personally, I think if they introduce more modes, it should be in the form of a battle royale with some type of a tweak to it. For example, faster closing zones. It's also a fun way to test some changes in the game without having to change the core game. Everybody plays Wraith, snipers only, energy weapons only. It'd be easy to get in, try out, and could keep the game fresh without having to actually update the meta every single week, which I know they're not trying to do. I'm not personally into the idea of adding a domination type mode or some of these other respawn type modes that are very popular in shooters, because that's already been done. But if there was some type of deathmatch or something that we could practice and warm up on before going into the game, having just a simple mode to run around in and shoot with, even if it was against bots, would be awesome. And finally, my number 1 of what I would like to see added right now in Season 2 is custom games. I think this would hit a lot of the stuff that we've even already talked about, especially if you could create a match and then have others join in through a server browser. But it's the same logic that goes into having the ability to mod games. It would allow us to do pretty much anything that was on this list, assuming they would give us some control for it, like turning on respawn so we could go in and practice shooting with friends, practice with guns. More so than that, on the competitive side, this is what we can start seeing some real competition in and seeing some good players go up against each other. I've tried watching some of the competitions that are currently happening, but it's just going through and pub stomping, which is fun. It's exciting to see, but to me, what would be more exciting is to see these players going up against each other, seeing the meta develop at the top tier. I'd love to see some people actually doing scrims, having to make more difficult decisions rather than just flying around the map, landing on people and dumping on them. I know when they added customs to PUBG when it first came out, that's when we came up with things like 50 versus 50, zombies games, death races. Some of those things they even actually implemented as modes that you can use in the game now. And while they went the more competitive direction, having those custom games in place really made it a lot more fun for the community to come together on. That's where I'm at, though, and I'm interested of what you guys think of the list. Is there anything that I missed you think should be on here? If you like this type of video, give it a like. Let me know. I think there's still a lot of low-hanging fruit with this game. I'm excited to see what changes are going to come to the meta in Season 2. I know the Season 1 shift wasn't very dramatic, but with the development of the snipers, I actually found myself switching my gameplay, which you can see in some of my recent videos. And I just made a video on how to heal while moving, both an easy method as well as the full B-hop. Subscribe if you're new to see all the latest content I got coming your way. And of course, if you have any incredible clips, send them in. Would love to feature some clips and some more top plays, as well as over on my Facebook page, where I also stream every day. That's it for this one, though. Thanks so much for watching. This is StoneMountain64, over and out.